Number 1.
On January 27, 2017, Elaine texted her mother, before heading to the movies with her then on-again, off-again boyfriend. At around 1 a.m., the pair took an Uber back to his house, located in Calabasas, in the 2600 block of Delphine Lane, and shortly after went to sleep. At 4 a.m. on the morning of January 28, Elaine woke up and appeared to be having a panic attack, with her boyfriend noting she was shaking. At around 6:05 a.m. that morning, against her boyfriend's wishes, Elaine left the house and appeared to drive away. Later in the day, Susan responded to her daughter's text message. However, she didn't receive a response. Given Elaine's private nature, she didn't think too much of this, and wasn't alarmed when she didn't return home that day. When the next day rolled around, and Elaine still hadn't been seen or heard from, Susan grew worried, leading her to file a missing persons report with the Glendale Police Department on January 30, 2017. Upon Susan reporting her daughter as missing, she was told not to worry, as Elaine was probably fine, and would contact her in the next day or so. On February 2, 2017, police changed their stance on Elaine's case, when her gray 2015 Honda Civic was found abandoned on the Pacific Coast Highway, just south of Corral Canyon Road in Malibu. The location was approximately 20 miles from her boyfriend's residence, and surrounded by businesses and houses. It was discovered that the doors were unlocked, and, while the lights were on, the car's battery was dead. Inside, police found Elaine's cell phone, backpack, computer and some money. Upon the discovery of Elaine's car, police brought in bloodhounds and divers to conduct a search of the area. However, after a day of searching, no sign of Elaine was found, and the search was suspended, with police refocusing their investigation on interviewing the missing woman's friends and family. Police spoke to Elaine's boyfriend, and took surveillance footage from the area. It showed Elaine walking toward her car, but police were unable to see if she got into it, and therefore couldn't conclude if it was indeed her driving away, or if it was someone else. Investigators say Elaine's boyfriend has been cooperative throughout the investigation, and is not considered a suspect at this time. Not long after her disappearance, a reward of $500,000 was raised for information leading to Elaine's return. With an expiry date of September 24, 2017, her 21st birthday, it was the hope of her family that it would help generate new leads. However, none were called in and the reward was left unclaimed. In September 2017, previously unreleased surveillance footage was shared with the public, showing an unknown vehicle that looks to be a SUV in the Calabasas area around the time Elaine was seen leaving her boyfriend's house. This vehicle struck investigators as odd, as there's no reason for it to be there at that time, and thus they sent out a plea for information regarding it or its owner. It is not known at this time if police were able to find the car or identify who was driving it. That same month, Elaine's high school organized an event to raise awareness about the case. The school's cheerleaders wore yellow ribbons on their uniforms as a sign of solidarity with the Park family. On September 12, 2017, Susan went before the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors to ask that the case be transferred to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office, as she felt Glendale PD wasn't doing enough to progress it. The request was denied, with Glendale PD claiming there was no evidence a crime had been committed, and they were doing all they could in their investigation. Just before the one-year anniversary of Elaine's disappearance, a hiker discovered a dead body in Malibu Bluffs Park, not far from where Elaine's car had been found. Police investigated and concluded it was not Elaine, and is not related to the case. On the one-year anniversary of her disappearance, Elaine's family and friends came together to mark the occasion, as well as to announce a new $140,000 reward had been issued. Set to expire on June 1, 2018, it was later extended through to the end of the year. Given their feeling that investigators weren't doing enough to solve the case, Elaine's family hired private investigator Jaden Brandt. He searched the Santa Monica Mountains and Angeles National Park, but found nothing. Through his own investigation, he's received tips he says lean toward foul play. Police recently requested the submission of photographs taken in the area where Elaine's car was found, around the time of January 28, 2017 and February 2, 2017. This is to help verify or disprove their theory that Elaine's car was already in Malibu at least 2 days prior to it being found. Susan continuously posts flyers around areas where her daughter was known to frequent. She has also conducted her own searches of these areas, but has so far found no new evidence. As of publishing, no new major developments in the case have come to light. However, Glendale PD say they continue to receive tips and are following up on each one that is called in. Police say the case is still open and will remain so until there has been a resolution. Rosemary Wheeler, who has been following the case closely, started the Facebook page Help Find Elaine Park to help bring in new leads and keep the case in the public eye. She has also set up a GoFundMe campaign to help raise money. Rolling Stone writer Neil Strauss and Incubus guitarist Mike Einziger teamed up to help raise awareness about the case through the making of Find Elaine Park t-shirts. Elaine Park went missing in Calabasas, California, from the 2600 block of Delphine Lane, on January 28, 2017. She was 20 years old, and was last seen wearing a white sweatshirt, denim shorts and possibly a pair of gray sweatpants. At the time of her disappearance, she was 5'63", and weighed approximately 125 pounds. She has brown hair with blonde tips and brown eyes, and is known to wear heavy mascara and makeup. She has her ears and nose pierced, and 3 tattoos, a cow skull on her upper left arm, a dagger and cross on her right arm, and a rose on her left shoulder. She is known to suffer from depression. Currently, her case is classified as an unwilling missing persons. If alive, she would be 22 years old. If you have any information regarding the case, you can contact the Glendale Police Department at 818-548-4911, or the case's tip line at 1-800-551-3080.
Number 2.
Dave Crotwell says everyone within a 20-mile radius of Fall River Mills, California knows his mother, Lynn Palmer. My mom was known really well in the community, because she was the hospice nurse, and had worked at the hospital. So a lot of people knew her, because she was taking of their parents or family members, Dave told Dateline. Being social and staying active is something that Lynn, 71, takes great pride in, her son says. She went bowling with friends every Tuesday night, Dave said. And she was very proud that she could go on a 4-mile walk and be fine, as well as volunteer 4 to 5 times a week. Lynn volunteers at a thrift store that she had helped open after she retired. The store's profits, Dave said, benefit the local hospice service. On Friday, April 20th, Lynn spent the day volunteering at the thrift store, and returned home around 4:30 p.m. Waiting for her was her husband of 20 years, Bob Palmer, and Bob's daughter's dog, a blue heeler named Lucy, who they were taking care of for a few days. She came home, said hi to her husband, and grabbed a light beer out of the fridge, Lynn's son Dave told Dateline. Like she had done previously, she just took the dog out for a walk, and said she would be back in a few. Dave told Dateline that Lynn and his stepfather live in an unpopulated area, so Lynn often took Lucy for a walk without putting a leash on her. Dave says the route usually takes Lynn 15 minutes to complete. But 25 minutes went by, and neither Lynn nor Lucy had returned. My stepdad wondered why she wasn't back yet, because he always looks out for her. So he went searching for her, Dave told Dateline. But after she'd been gone 45 minutes, he started calling the neighbors to ask if they'd seen her. Lynn's brother-in-law is a volunteer firefighter with the Fall River Mills Fire Department, Dave says, so Bob called him to see if they could come help search for Lynn. After an hour of driving the area with no signs of Lynn or the dog, Bob called the Shasta County Sheriff's Department to report his wife missing. Lynn's son Dave says he got word of his mother's disappearance a few hours later. Dave, who lives in Seattle, Washington, was vacationing with his family in San Diego, California at the time. He flew in the next morning to help with the search efforts. Lynn's son Rob Crotwell drove to his mother's house to help search too. According to Dave, the brothers were joined by volunteers from 4 neighboring counties as well as the Shasta County Sheriff's Office's search and rescue team. The Shasta County Search and Rescue was activated, and numerous resources were deployed to the area to aid in the search for Palmer. These resources included dirt riders, mounted posse, ground team, jeepers, and mountain rescue. The Shasta County Sheriff's Office will continue the search for Palmer throughout the night, the Shasta County Sheriff's Office said in a Facebook post on the first day of the search. They had a California Highway Patrol helicopter, people on horsebacks, and search dogs, Dave told Dateline of the resources authorities provided. They did a very professional search and rescue effort. Authorities continued their search efforts for a few more days but found nothing leading them to Lynn or her stepdaughter's dog Lucy. Then, just as the search efforts were winding down, a familiar face appeared at Lynn's door. Suddenly, the missing dog came back on day 4, Dave told Dateline. They immediately brought her into the house. There was food and water for her, and she went and drank some water, but it was weird, because she didn't eat any of the food. Dave says Lucy's homecoming extended the search by another day, as investigators took Lucy into the yard to see if she could lead them to Lynn. Investigators also took samples from Lucy's hair and from under her nails, Dave said, in an effort to find out where she'd been for the prior 4 days. However, Lucy was unable to lead authorities to Lynn. After 5 days of searching, authorities suspended their search and rescue efforts. Dave told Dateline he, along with other friends and family, kept searching for a few more days, even bringing in a Mendocino County tracking dog to smell Lynn's shoes and try to track her scent outside. The dog tracked her scent along her main walking route out to an abandoned trailer, then to a dirt road, and then out to the main road, Dave said. The scent disappeared at the main road. 5 months later, there have still been no signs of Lynn. She left everything on the kitchen counter: her phone, wallet and purse. We haven't found footprints or the beer can she was holding, Dave said. She wore thick glasses and we haven't found those, either. Dave told Dateline Lynn had recently begun to have trouble remembering things. She still dialed me and my brother's phone number by memory, but there were just some things that she would have to repeat or things she would not remember, he said. He does not think, however, that it's possible Lynn got lost while on the walk, because she would walk the route several days a week. There's one thing I do know. She didn't take off on her own will, Dave told Dateline. So, her body is still out there, and the dog stayed until she passed away, and we just haven't found her body yet. Or someone took her, and either they took the dog with her, or the dog followed them and then came back. They could have disposed of her, or the rare case is that they still have her. Dave says it's important for the family to get closure. Bob, Lynn's husband of about 20 years, is struggling with his wife's disappearance. Bob is a super nice guy and always took care of my mom. He beats himself up and thinks it happened on his watch, Dave said. I can't imagine how difficult it must be for him to live in the exact area she disappeared in. We love her and want to find her, Dave added. There are so many people in the community who want to find her. The Secret Witness Program of Shasta County, in collaboration with Lynn's family, is offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to Lynn's whereabouts. Lynn is described as being 5'2" tall and weighing about 140 pounds. She has gray hair and wears thick glasses. If you have any information on Lynn's disappearance, please call the Shasta County Sheriff's Office at 530-245-6540. To leave a tip anonymously, please call Secret Witness at 530-243-2319.
Number 3.
The last time Donna Perkins talked with her son, Lance, he told her he was having blackouts. She told him to call 911 and go to the hospital. He was taken by ambulance from his hotel in San Diego to UCSD in Hillcrest. 3 hours later, security cameras caught him walking out of the hospital. He never returned to his hotel. And he never called his mother back. That was more than 4 months ago. Lance has not been heard from since. It's been difficult. Very difficult, Donna Perkins, Lance's mother, told Dateline as she sat with Lance's father, Jerry, in their home in Hawaii. They say they've been in a state of panic over the last few months, unsure of what to do to find their boy. It's like you're in a rat's maze, Jerry said. Who to talk to, how to get people to help, where to turn. Donna added, people don't just go poof and disappear. Lance lives in Anaheim, California, but had traveled for work to San Diego to cover Casa de las Calaveras, an event that coincides with the annual Day of the Dead celebration. He's held a number of jobs in the arts and events area over the years, and has written for several publications including Rage Monthly, an LGBT publication for San Diego, Orange and Los Angeles counties. Lance called his mother after he carpooled down the coast and said things were going well. Then, on the night of October 23, 2016, the phone call came about the blackouts. It's not the first time Lance has had health issues, his parents said. He's had a number of ailments and issues since he was young, Donna told Dateline. When he said he was having blackouts that day, I told him he had to go to the hospital right away. It's unclear if Lance was treated that night or not. His mother said she learned from officials that Lance had waited for 3 hours in the emergency room to be seen. One account said Lance became impatient and walked out, while another staff member told her Lance was officially discharged that night. Because of privacy laws, it's difficult to know exactly what happened. When Lance didn't phone his mother back that night or the following day, his parents became concerned. Lance would always call. They reached out to friends, none had heard from him. They then phoned San Diego police to report him missing. It's extremely uncharacteristic of Lance to simply vanish. More alarming is what Donna says she learned from Lance's phone records. He is still on their cell phone plan, so they had access to whom he was calling that night. Donna reiterated to Dateline what she's spoken about in previous interviews, that Lance had made several 911 calls in the hours after he left the hospital. He also made 2 phone calls to friends around 4 a.m. the next morning. Neither friend picked up and Lance didn't leave any messages. It's those 911 calls that stick with Donna. 2 of them were between 14 and 17 minutes long, Donna told Dateline. Somebody who is planning on disappearing would not call 911 that many times. Denise Penn, a close friend of Lance's, echoed Donna's concern over his disappearance. The two had worked together on a number of charity projects and events over the years, including the Anaheim Chocolate Festival and Rock the Vote. Her concern circles back to Lance's prior health issues. He could be confused in a treatment center somewhere. We just don't know, Denise told Dateline. He's not a person who abuses drugs or alcohol, so that's not it at all. It's terrifying not knowing where he is. Denise traveled down to San Diego in November and stood outside the hospital, where Lance was last seen. She placed flyers with his photo throughout town. No one imagined it would now be more than 4 months since Lance was last seen. I just hope we can bring him home, Denise said. His parents are such caring people. And he's never, ever had anything but wonderful things to say about them. They deserve answers. Officials with the San Diego Police Department are investigating, but little information has been released in connection with the case. Authorities have reportedly conducted several searches, but few clues have been found. The official investigation has been a source of frustration for Lance's parents, who say they are concerned about the way their son's case is being handled. The San Diego Police Department did not return Dateline's request for comment as of Monday afternoon. Lance's loved ones simply want to be sure he is okay. They are urging anyone who may have seen him, or is in the area, to keep an eye out. The investigator told us he's not in jail, and he's not in the morgue. Which means he's out there, Lance's mom Donna told Dateline. All that we want is to know that he's safe. Lance Perkins is described as 6'1" tall, weighing 190 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information regarding his case is urged to contact the San Diego Police Department at 619-531-2000.
Number 4.
Stacy Smart, 52, also known as Stacy Smart Hamilton, was reported missing on November 2, 2016. She was reported missing on the same day as Sherry Papini, and the media coverage on that case has significantly overshadowed that of Smart. I looked for previous write-ups on this, and found one from a week ago that was deleted for not having enough information. Her disappearance was covered on an episode of Crime Watch Daily in 2017. Smart's family last heard from her before Halloween, but they hadn't actually seen her since October 12, when she was at home with her boyfriend. Smart was very holiday-oriented, and would never miss the chance to celebrate with her family. Her daughter, Nicole Santos, found it strange when Smart did not come to her house that evening to share the holiday. The next day, Santos went to look for her mother, and found out that her friends hadn't seen her in weeks. Smart's boyfriend, Tony Brand, was one of the last people to see her, but denies having any involvement with her disappearance. The two lived together. Smart's daughter said that the family was not able to get a hold of Brand until 11/8, almost a week after Smart had been reported missing. Brand merely claimed that Smart had left. However, Smart's sister Melissa asked around and received differing information from friends. I made a few phone calls to people that have contact with Tony and Stacy on a daily basis, and when they told me that Tony had told him that Stacy had moved out 2 weeks prior, so then I called one more person who had a daily contact with them, and he said that Tony had told him that my sister had gotten violent, and he had to make her move, said Melissa. This, coupled with the fact that Smart hadn't accessed her bank account since 10/16, raised more questions. If she had simply chosen to leave, what did she have with her? She has not accessed her bank account, so she likely was just traveling with whatever she had on hand, which I could not find any detailed information about. Brand was brought in for questioning by the police, as he was the last person to see Smart. He again claimed that she had just left, and that she had done it before, and that is why he didn't find it particularly troubling. Initially, Brand refused to take a polygraph test, but later conceded at the request of his lawyer. This was primarily done as a formality, and it doesn't really seem like any useful information came out of it. Due to the fact that Smart and Papini were both reported missing on the same day, police did investigate whether or not the two cases may be linked. However, the Trinity County Sheriff's Office does not believe that they are, as there are a lot of differences between their cases. Their disappearances were also classified differently by the state. Papini was considered missing, later found under suspicious circumstances due to her failure to pick up her children from daycare, while Smart is considering missing under unknown circumstances. When someone is considered missing under unknown circumstances, there is not enough information to know whether the disappearance was criminal, voluntary, or pretty much anything else. Police have not ruled out foul play as an option, but no one has been charged in the case. Her family does not think she left voluntarily, as she had two daughters. One was 10 at the time of her disappearance, and loved spending holidays with them. There hasn't really been any new information in this case, and most news articles on it are from 2017. Her family still maintains a Facebook page and Goffin dedicated to search efforts, but there do not appear to be any promising leads. A local news article in December 2018 mentioned Smart's disappearance, as well as that of Roger Her. Detectives in the area claim to still be working on these missing persons cases, but admit that they are often overshadowed by homicide cases and more in-depth investigations, which is obviously very disheartening for the family. Trinity County Sheriff Tim Saxon, who took office in November, said these outstanding missing persons cases do get worked on, but investigators run out of leads to follow, and unfortunately, there's just not enough time to devote to this specific need.
Number 5.
Michael Van Zandt was born on January 17, 1980 in Pleasant Lake, Michigan. Raised by his mom, he has two brothers and one step-brother. After graduating from Northwest High School in 1999, Michael enlisted in the Air Force. He met his future wife, a fellow Air Force member, in 2000 and married a year later. After spending 12 years in the service, including 2 deployments in Iraq, Michael got a civilian contractor position. At the time of his disappearance, he worked at the Edwards Air Force Base and lived in an apartment in Lancaster, California. He shared custody of the 2 sons and a daughter with his wife, with whom he was in the process of divorce when he went missing. His brother claimed Michael enjoyed swimming and scuba diving, and has been known to swim at night, particularly after drinking. On the evening of March 5, 2016, Michael met with some friends at the Underground, a bar in Hermosa Beach, California. The group was recorded on video by one friend as watching an Ultimate Fighting Championship fight at the bar. The group had previously booked a night at the Quality Inn, a hotel located in the 900 block of Aviation Boulevard. Later in the evening, Michael and his friends went to the American Junkie pub at 10:15 p.m. In the waiting line, Michael's friend said he needed to use the bathroom and left to a nearby liquor store next door. Multiple surveillance cameras, inside and outside of the liquor store, recorded him going in and out. This is the last time his friend saw Michael. Michael's friends decided to leave for another venue, but failed to get a hold of him via his cell phone. Surveillance footage captured Michael coming back and looking for them in the queue before walking away. After several failed attempts to find his friends, Michael returned to the Roberts liquor store, but it is unclear at this time if he made any purchases. At 11:27 p.m., Michael was last seen on a security camera walking northwest of a parking lot towards the beach. He never returned to his room and has not been seen or heard from since. On the morning of March 6, 2016, upon not seeing Michael return to the hotel, his friends called the jails and hospitals expecting him to be drunk. His vehicle was still parked in the same spot at the Quality Inn, and his belongings were found untouched. On March 7, after Michael failed to report for work at the Edwards Air Force Base, his colleagues and a friend, who was part of the group that night, reported him missing to the authorities. A search was conducted by the police at the area where Michael was last seen, but the detection dog lost Michael's scent near the Roberts liquor store. They found none of Mike's belongings on the beach, and no one reported seeing him go into the water. His cell phone activity stopped around 10:30 p.m. of the night he disappeared, and his credit and debit cards have been inactive ever since. Police found no evidence, means or motive for foul play in Michael's disappearance. Possible drowning is suspected, as Michael was an avid swimmer and scuba diver. He was known to go on nighttime swims after drinking, however his body was never found or washed ashore in the Hermosa Beach area. The circumstances of his disappearance remain unclear, and his case is currently classified as endangered missing. His case remains unsolved. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Michael Van Zandt, please contact the Hermosa Beach Police Department 310-318-0360 or call the We Help the Missing tip line 866-660-4025.